People who have visited the US, what is your WTF America story? First night in LA, watched as a stolen cop car and a million cop cars flew past me down Hollywood Boulevard at 60 miles per hour at 10 p.m. Then I turned and walked back into the Thai restaurant where I watched the fugitive get pit maneuvered and shot dead live on the news via helicopter chase cam. Dude sitting next to us was excited to tell us we had officially experienced LA over-the-top car chases, action chase cam news, neon lights in Hollywood, an Asian restaurant that made me feel like I was in an art film. He was right. I've told this story on Reddit before, but my biggest WTF was in fall 2005. Google Earth had just come out, and my colleague at the university lab and I were looking at it. She was a blonde bombshell from San Diego, and I'm a portly Indian boy. When I showed her Mumbai, my home city, she was blown away. You have buildings, look. There's an airport, oh my god. You have cars. How the heck do you think we get around? I asked. Her reply still rings on my head. Not walking, not cows, not elephants, not bicycles, not horse-drawn carts. She said camels. If I ever saw a camel in Mumbai, I'd stop everything I'm doing and say holy crap, that's a freaking camel. Was at an all-you-can-eat buffet with a soft serve ice cream machine. As kids we thought we were being little pigs by swirling as high as we possibly could. While our parents weren't looking, or they certainly would have stopped us. The guy after us grabbed a full-sized drink tumbler and filled it up with ice cream. No shame at all. No childlike glee at making the mother of all Sundays. I suspect now it was something he did regularly. The first rule of all-you-can-eat buffet: there are no rules. Only the strong survive. When I went to Florida, I was stopped by the police for jaywalking. I protested that the road was clear, so therefore safe to cross. He said, I don't know how you do it in your country, but here in the US we take road safety seriously. Aghast, I explained I was from England and my only knowledge of jaywalking was from Lethal Weapon 3 and that I believed it was just a made up law that they used in the movie to sass people. He chuckled and said, that's a great movie. I prefer the first. I agreed and said it was by far the best. After a brief chat about the entire Lethal Weapon saga, he said, in future make sure you use the crossings. I agreed, but asked in a pretty decent South African accent, what if I have diplomatic immunity? He chuckled, nodded his head and pointed to the crossing and said, cross there. Enjoy your vacation, and off he went. It was the highlight of my holiday. He said, I don't know how you do it in your country, but here in the US we take road safety seriously. As someone living in NYC, I can't help but laugh at this. Jaywalking is a way of life. That said, I got the nastiest looks in Japan for doing HTE same, and would be terrified of getting fined in Switzerland. Apparently that's a thing, though I've never gotten fined when traveling there. I went to Disneyland in Anaheim, and it just struck me that there were a large number of disabled people out and about enjoying the rides. I'm from India, where there is no shortage of disabled people, but it was just the sheer number of disabled people that made me extremely happy that the park was accessible to everyone. You done good, America, I said to myself as I ate some horrible expensive fried thing. I later realized that most of those people were not disabled but fat people on scooters who did not feel like walking. Where do I sign up? Guy I worked with asked me if we had hospitals in Colombia. According to New Yorkers, my mother and I can't possibly be Portuguese. Apparently we're Russian. Duh. Other than incredibly nice and friendly. I loved it. No, we are not Russians. We are Portuguese. Ivan, Berto and I are just tourists. Whispers into watch they are onto us. Alert the Kremlin. Abort mission. When I first came to the US and my dad took us to a restaurant, I ordered a fish dish, and when it came out I asked my dad how come the fish doesn't look like a fish. I was used to whole cooked fish, so deep fried fish fillet looked really strange to me. I had the opposite dining in France. I was not expecting my dinner to stare at me. Korean friend who just got off the plane in Atlanta. So many big fat black women, yes. He said it loudly and in public. But my favorite was a Japanese fellow who went to a buffet with a group of us in Vegas. He sits down and his plate looks like a normal little meal. We all have heaps of crap all over ours, and his eyes bug out that we have so much food. I said he's really going to freak out when he realizes this is only our first plate. So many big fat black women. I would like to imagine that this was expressed with great joy. A couple I went to university at Cal State Fresno. I was a country boy from Canada. When I was there, the entire downtown of Fresno was boarded up and you did not go there after dark. Actually anytime. And a full-blown gun gang fight outside of my apartment in Clovis, a suburb near the university. For a kid from small town Canada, that was mind-blowing. A couple. I went to Fresno. That was your first mistake. Even Californians avoid Fresno, especially Californians. When I first moved to America, one of the first things I saw after leaving JFK was a homeless man masturbating outside of Union Station. It wouldn't have been that strange, except I had heard a lot of things about NYC from people who had been there, or knew someone who knew someone, etc. And I was worried what I was seeing was just going to be an everywhere thing all throughout the country. I saw 50 chicken nuggets for $5. I'm from Canada and went to Cece's Pizza in Florida. Holy crap, $5 for an all-you-can-eat buffet, which was basically a fast pass to witness a crap ton of gluttony that was on another level. Had a similar experience at a bar. We ordered a pitcher of beer and when it came out to $5.50 we all looked at each other in bewilderment. The waitress then apologized for how expensive it was. For those that don't know, a pitcher of average beer typically costs $16. 20 Canadian dollars. There was a place called Norma's in Washington state, somewhere rural. Anyway, it was like a shrine to George Bush. The owner was guy in the back of a menu had his face with the quote "Just call me Norma" on the back. Best burger I ever had, called the George W. Bush burger. Not my story but my mom's again, and instead of visiting, it was more like a people who have immigrated to the US. What is your WTF America story? So it's the early 1980s, and my mom's plane touches down in LAX from Tokyo. As she was collecting her luggage and waiting for her friend to pick her up, a Hare Krishna, which she had never seen before, came up to her and asks her, in English, if she could donate a few dollars. My mom, who only had a few yen and a poor grasp of English, tried to explain to the Hare Krishna that she couldn't understand him and that she had just arrived in the United States. The moment she started talking to him in Japanese, he just gave her some of the money he had and went on his merry way, leaving her at the luggage carousel confused as heck. That's kind of sweet. I asked an old lady if it's true all Americans carry guns. She smiled and pulled a revolver out of her purse. She was a nice lady. They're complimentary with your birth certificate here. I was 12 years old when I spent a month in Minnesota. I remember going WTF, or at least a French equivalent, when we went to Mall of America and I saw the frigging roller coaster inside of it. Canadian on tour in America. Witnessed an enormous man at a Big Boy in Wisconsin pull out 5 jumbo freezer bags and fill them to the brim with sausages from the all-you-can-eat buffet. He hid every bag between the overhang of his belly and sweatpants, then filled a full plate of sausages and proceeded to sit calmly at his table and finish them. Canadian was in a gas station waiting to pay before prepay took over, and a couple of guys with handguns in holsters were in line in front of me, resting their hands on the guns. Not so much WTF. I knew to expect it, but it's a memory I think of often. As a Texan, a group of people with their hands on their holsters would make me extremely nervous. Its own thing to carry or even open carry. Acting like you might draw that gun is another thing completely. Me paying at gas station. Attendant hears I have an accent. Smiles at me. You speak English so well. Thanks. Although I should do. I'm from England. Cue confused look. Wait. She trailed off speak English. There? Her colleague stared at her in open-mouthed disbelief and then broke out laughing with the other customers. She looked mortified. To be fair, I felt terrible for her. She was only trying to be friendly to a foreigner. I'm from America, and I have a friend from Australia. It amazes him that there are so many flags everywhere. Apparently that is a distinct USA thing. He'll make jokes about how we all forget where we are. On a 3-week trip to the US last year, I counted over 1,000 US flags. I don't think I've seen that many Australian flags in Australia, despite having lived here for nearly 30 years. Was in northern New York, near Buffalo, and a waitress overheard that I was headed back to the Pacific Ocean. She asked where I was going and I said Vancouver. No honey, Vancouver is in Canada and that is on the Atlantic Ocean. I said Canada is from sea to sea just like America. She replied no, that's not right. Only America is from sea to sea. The combination of her being absolutely sure about something and her total ignorance was surprising enough, but the fact that she felt she should basically interrupt our conversation by telling me I am wrong about what ocean I live beside was weird. That's Western New York. French ex-exchange teenager in Cali here. Summer 97. I was young and missed the field trip bus to Disneyland from San Diego. So I did something pretty stupid. I hitchhiked to go there by myself. Dude who took me looked like a plainclothes cops, but a good buddy. When he heard I was French he told me to never ever hitchhike in USA because it's pretty dangerous. Plus people could assume I'm a serial killer. So I boasted, look at you don't think I'm a serial killer. I'm not that dangerous looking or you are careless. He told me to open the glove box in front of me. There was a supposedly loaded, freaking Desert Eagle inside. He dropped me at the bus station and insisted to give me $10 for ticket. I had cash and waited for me to go in the bus. Do you have cell phones in Norway? This was in 2012. Kids nowadays get an iPhone and or iPad before they're born. Must be very painful for the mother. I'm Canadian and I went down to the US to do a little shopping. I accidentally pulled out some Canadian bills and the cashier asked why I kept Monopoly money in my wallet. Those gaps in your toilet stall doors, what are they even for? Peeking. A woman was quite surprised to learn that we don't celebrate Thanksgiving in the UK. To be fair, they celebrate Thanksgiving in Canada. After moving from Africa, as a teen, I am repeatedly asked why I moved to Africa in the first place, to which I reply that I've always lived there. I am also asked, so why are you white, to which I reply, oh my god, Karen, you can't just ask people why they're white. However, when they reply with blank stares I realize they aren't referencing Mean Girls. Some other questions, so Africa is one country and all the borderlines are, like, states, are there, buildings, you guys have memes over there, right, are you Australian? Australian here. I went to Houston last year and spoke to a girl my age in the airport. We got chatting about uni college. It was around July, and she asked me if I was on my summer vacation. I casually explained I was on my winter break. She was genuinely confused and did not understand how it was summer in the US but winter in Australia. I tried to explain but eventually gave up. An American once complimented me on my excellent English when I told her I was from Australia. I was complimented on my excellent English by a girl from Ohio. I'm Canadian. She thought we all spoke German. Aussie here. When I started chatting to a cashier she squealed and asked where I was from. I told her Australia and she instantly dumped down how she spoke. Do y'all speak English down there? I replied sporadically. She laughed and informed me that wasn't a word. Singaporean here. I feel your pain. You speak really good English for an Asian. When I went to the US the first time and ordered a meal from Burger King, ordering a large fry, Coke, and a Whopper, I was blown away by the size of it all. Each item was larger than the same item back home. I was already like WTF, but then the cashier said I could have a second Whopper for $1. Again, I was like WTF, sign me up. Another time, while I was in Daytona, I went to a restaurant and the woman kept refilling my drink, again and again. Being a bit shy, I did not tell her to stop, and expected a bill with $15 for sodas, but then I found out the refills were free. WTF, free refills. I'd only seen that at places like Subway, but so many restaurants in the US had free refills. I love the US. For restaurants and food in general, the portions are massive and very reasonably priced. You have been visited by the blanket pig. Upvote for good night's sleep for the next lunar year. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day you magnificent people.